Welcome back to Improv TV, where we break down making things up. And we're talking about short form improv. And we're just going to be covering another game, but this time I'm going to try to quiz you guys about what you have learned from the last one. So what I'm going to be asking you guys is, well, first of all, what's the overt game? And what does that overt game imply that you should be doing and thinking about? Because every time you learn a new short form game, there's usually sort of the rules and then sort of like the what you should be using those rules to do. And then I'm going to be asking, what's the discovered game in the short form game? Okay? And then, well, this game is going to be freeze tag. So there aren't a lot of promises in freeze tag. Freeze tag was supposedly invented by Keith Johnstone, but in the ones that he did freeze tag, you always continued the scenes or used it for learning. But that said, I think this game can really work as well as you want it to. So I'm not gonna rag on it, even though Keith did, and I kind of started in Keith, so that the secret's out. But I still think it can be a really effective game if you know how to play it. So think of your questions. Don't forget. All right. Okay. What are the rules? How do you play those rules? Right? What's the secret game underneath that game? And then what is the discovered game that they found? Okay. So there they are. Here you go. I'm not going to interrupt, I promise.
This is the game that the people of Las Vegas have taken to their heart and begun calling freeze tag. And we'll start with Brad Sherwood and Wayne Brady. How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
Okay, I have to interrupt, I'm sorry. He did a really nice job of introducing that game just really fluidly. I don't think he even said the rules, but I don't think it was important. Maybe he will. But you don't know the rules yet.
And what I need to get this underway from you, young lady, a physical position or a physical activity that Wayne Brady might do by himself. Possibly non-sexual. Jumping up and down. Thank you very much. And from you, young lady, a physical position or activity that Mr. Brad Sherwood might do on his own. Jumping rope. A lot of jumping here tonight. Brad and Wayne are going to start the scene. From time to time, one of us in the back will yell out, freeze, tag them out, and change the very reality of the scene. Here we go.
This pogo stick is awesome.
I'm saving up for one.
Freeze. Hey, man, can you give me a lift on your Segway? Come on.
Say, Jonathan, where'd you get that magical seahorse?
Oh. From the ocean. You want to ride?
I'd love a ride. Can we both ride it?
Sure, come on. Wow. This is amazing.
Freeze.
This.
Oh, you're...
Get enough.
Okay, so I think we have all the pieces for all three. So here's your chance. Okay. It's hard. It's hard in a vacuum to be able to figure out what's going on in all these pieces, I think. So, all right. So the rules are, this is your chance to answer the rules. Okay. So the rules are, you say freeze, and what's the important thing to keep when they say freeze? You actually freeze. You have to physically freeze. And then, so what's sort of the way to amp up that game? Like, what's the really important, crucial thing that you've got to do to make that game stick for the audience? Okay. If you guessed that it was, that you have to use your physicality and explain this is again a justification game. If you have to justify why you're doing this, and if you're going to be, turned to stone, an ogre, like, or maybe you're going to be holding a human heart, or maybe you're going to be transforming into a werewolf. Rah! I mean, these are pretty active hands here. You could be crippled, you could be on fire, you could be summoning a spell, you could be turning into an eagle. You could hold a tiny talisman or like a crystal ball. You know, we want to see that justification. And if you come out and say freeze, you come out like this, and then you go, oh, how are you today? It's not going to pay off as well. Unless maybe it uses the other person's physicalization. I think I saw that once and it didn't play off quite as well. It was the Segway one. Didn't go as far. Yes. Oh, third one. Okay, and we'll just keep going. I'm not going to give you the answer to this one yet. But what is the sub-game here underneath that game? Okay, so what is the discovered fun game? And it'll sound sort of like, oh, it's more this, or it's more that. It's every time this happens. Okay, so we'll just keep going and we'll see if you can discover it.
I'd like to thank the Academy for the weenie. I really don't deserve it.
Did you see how quick he snapped into place? Like he was just sort of going like this, and he said, I'd like to thank you for the weenie, and went really fast joining. Oh my gosh. These guys are super good at joining. It's always the first line, and they physicalize that right away. That is huge. Anyway, I kind of want to watch that again, actually. Let's see. Can we watch that again?
This means so much to me and my...
Say, Jonathan, where'd you get that magical seahorse?
Oh!
You see how fast that was?
From
right
the
away.
ocean. You want to ride?
I'd love a ride. Can we both ride it?
Sure, come on.
Okay, I didn't think that was strong. Did you see how at first he goes, say, Jonathan, where'd you get that magical seahorse? Maybe that's just me, but I kind of thought he was a father character. That's kind of the way a father says that to his son. And then he said, can I get on? And then he kind of like became younger than he was at first. And I thought that wasn't quite as strong, which is why that scene didn't carry as long. This is a nice safe game because the moment it starts becoming not fun, you move on. You can play this and make those scenes longer as long as you give each scene some legs. And you give scenes legs by giving them a who, what, when. The shorthand for this is in a, with a, while. That's my favorite one because it gives you answers. It's hard for me to ask myself the questions and then answer them. But if I say in a, and then I just say like, see, with a father and son and a seahorse, while riding a seahorse, like that's easy, and they're all supposed to be obvious. And then if you give yourself a why and a relationship that matters and a point of view, your scene can go on for a long time. 40 minutes, you can do that. You can do it. But if you make them short, then it's just going to be freeze, 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 which is fine because in this one, you don't want to give your scenes crazy long legs because then you're going to want to see it forever, which we may see one of those pretty soon. But so far, they're just kind of like getting in the one-liner of the fun situation. I feel like I'm spoiling it too much. Don't forget, but just note, we got a lot going on. Notice how quickly they're committing physically, and notice that big question of what's the sub-game going on. The discovered natural game.
This is amazing.
Freeze!
This.
Oh, you're get in there.
I'd like to thank the Academy for the weenie. I really don't deserve it.
That was so fast. I'd like to thank the Academy for the weenie. He knew it right away. Oh my gosh, so fast. He wasn't even looking.
This means so much to me and my family. Thank you so much.
I think you should do it, Wayne. Walk up to her. Ask her out. I think you should.
No, Wayne, let her go. She's not right for you.
Why don't you sound like an angel?
Oh, sorry.
Freeze!
No, Wayne. I didn't see these.
See that fast joining will make some mistakes, which we love to see the mistake anyway. So this is like the thing you always hear about improv, which is like, commit. We like to see the mistakes. The mistakes are good. But this is real stuff. This isn't just made up like hoity-toity, like, oh, it's feel-goody, we like to do improv. Like, no. Mistakes are good if you commit really hard. Because, here's the analogy. I wish I could cite who told me this. He's from Austin. I forgot. I think he's from Austin. Oh, well. So, here's the analogy. If you're going to ride a motorcycle over ramps, do you want to see it over 1 car, 2 cars, or 90 cars? The answer is 90 cars, right? Because if you're going to, here, let's say you have an abysmal miss and you go zip, right? Hilarious. Never had a chance. It's high stakes and nailed it. Like, or missed it. He had a chance. Great, that's exciting. Okay. And if you go so close, missed it, right? And if it's perfect, made it, oh my God, I can't believe it, right? And if they're really close, it's ka-chunk, ka-chunk. It's like anyone who ever did Tony Hawk and then actually watched professional skateboarders, it's like, Because even though what they're doing is insane, we've seen people go trick on their way into certain death. But somehow they survive because it's video games. So this is one of the reasons that you commit really fast, and even if you're wrong, it's great because we like to see the mistakes. And notice how he was like, ooh, my mistake, he. He was totally okay with it. And because he was okay with it, we loved him for it. Because, why? We could laugh at him, which made it benign. Super important to, that's why it's important not to show fear. Is because if you make a mistake and went, I didn't know. You know, we're way less likely to laugh at crazy horse eyes, right? Crazy horse fear rolling into the back of your head eyes than we are at, oh, I didn't see that, oh, right? That's way more fun because he gives us permission to laugh at him. Anyway, don't forget, you're trying to find the sub-game underneath the game.
Welcome to the first commercial space shuttle flight. Why don't you get right in here and strap right in? Comfortable? Yeah, I'm perfect.
Lift off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I just peed. Freeze! General Washington, I think we need a bigger boat.
Freeze. It's gonna be a tough one.
Hello.
Freeze! Two more suckers at the MGM that couldn't find their way to their rooms.
Freeze! Watkins, you idiot!
Okay, so those were not exactly, I would say those last two were less in the line of the games that we had been, the sub-game that we had been seeing, but they fit the other games really nicely. What do these guys look like? What can we contribute? Good, good, good. And on top of that, he's, you know, bringing it back to the audience, whereas the other ones I feel like are, they could be getting lost in their own fun, but the audience is loving it, so, no mistakes there.
You've let the lizards get loose!
I was having a sandwich.
Catch them! Catch them!
I was having a sandwich. I got him! I got him! What do I do?
Put him back in the aquarium!
Okay, I love that he just kept saying I was having a sandwich. I don't know why, but it's like just sticking to your guns. I was just having a sandwich. It's interesting. I don't know whether to like that he says, what do I do or not, because he's a lower status character, so it's what someone could do, but normally choose to know. Almost always choose to know, unless it's just fun to have a low status character who is doing the wrong thing all the time, which is what he seems to be playing at. It was his fault that the things got out, so what do I do? Where are the cages? All that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, you idiot, right? But normally choose to know, choose to know, choose to know, for the love of God. It's better to go, the cages are way up high, because that makes it easier on your player and it moves things quicker. You can imagine if both players were just asking questions, it goes nowhere. You know, like, I mean, it can go somewhere, but usually it's like, you know, what do I do? Like, haven't you been here before? Like, they're just not knowing anything, right? What do I do? Like, you've been here for 12 years and you still can't do this. Way better than, you know, what do I do? You know, weren't you in training? Like, how can I know? Like, you know, well, what are you doing here anyway? Then it's just, no one knows anything. It's way better for them to know each other and to be super intimate and for it all to be lost and for him to be angry at him and for this to be a long-standing problem. That's good. Anyway, so, you know, work on it. Drew Carey.
Freeze! Oh, thank you. A hammock would be perfect right now.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so I feel like they were moving on from the previous games that were going on, and we're about to move into a new sub-game. So I think the big previous sub-games that were going on, like, you know, okay, so now's your chance to answer it. What were the games that you saw? Especially in the earlier part, the Seahorse one, the Rocket Ship one, the one before that, can't remember it. Oh, the Segway one. Now's your chance. They were all like physical intimacy stuff, right? It was all like men being too close together, and especially picking on Wayne Brady, right? I mean, it was like Wayne Brady was literally the butt of every joke. I mean, like they were all like right up behind him, right? And so time and time again, it was all him, being physically intimate with him, literally objectifying him by making him the Brady, right? Or the Wayne. Just that was the sub game, was just making him the butt of every joke. And so when he said, you know, like F this and just started running away, then that like really fit in, and it got a big laugh because they all knew that that's how he was feeling and what he was dealing with. So we're gonna see a new sub game coming up, and I might as well spill the beans. Like every single one, right, is about justifying where they are and joining really fast and making it make sense. Super justification. This is all happening. Great. So they're going to find a new sub-game now.
Oh, yeah. Just check it out. It's our newest model.
Yeah?
It's the H2000. Look how nice it feels when it swings back and forth.
Freeze! Switch. Try out this new massage chair, Mr. Brady.
Oh, this is amazing.
You can put all your weight on it.
I mean, I know
Freeze!
that,
Switch with me, Brad. Yeah, it's the newest in trampoline technology. Hit it!
Freeze!
Thank you.
Man, these ball washers on the public golf courses are terrible, aren't they?
Freeze!
Okay, so what was the game? It was 3 little freezes. What was the game? It was getting each, like basically trying to smush each other. And it's important to be able to name it verbally in your own head, because if you can name it in your own head, what is that pattern? Then you can up it, right? First it's a hammock, then it's a massage chair, right? And notice how they were doing it of first one did it to one, the other did it to the other, and then the other did it to the first, right? So they're all getting each other, and it's great. We like seeing them get each other. And so that's really cool. And they're playing into it, raising the stakes. Now it's a massage chair, now it's a trampoline. And then what happens? Drew Carey freezes it out and does not raise the stakes of that game. So the game was over because he just went like, oh, watering the golf course, rather than raising the stakes of what's bigger than a trampoline? What would be more compromising of a situation than someone jumping on you? I don't know. Could they be slathering their body? Could they be tanning? Could you have someone like take off, like derobe and get on the tanning bed? Like at least that conceptually, even if you're always wearing your improv clothes, right, which is just your imaginary clothes on top of your clothes, but they'll just be like, oh yes, ma'am, just hand me your towel, I'll look away and lay on the bed, or lay on the tanning booth, or here I am for your massage, or like, yeah, what if they were having sex on it? Like, oh, all these great uncomfortable places that you could put them in to raise the stakes, but instead it was sort of lowered. And so what do? They find a new game. So I guess I feel like they're all on the ball, and so like he sort of like drops the game, so they find a new one. But maybe that's time. I don't know. But I just feel like Drew Carey is like kind of like not quite on it as much, and you can see that just a little bit.
Oh, Lord, they gotta get this.
Okay, so they called that one off, I'm sure, because one, it's hard to raise the stakes of that and keep the violation benign. So because it's racial and because he's the only black guy there, that's one of the reasons that only people of their own race can really tell race jokes and make it benign if you're not like in a privileged white upper class kind of environment, right? So it's hard to keep it really feeling benign if you're not of that race or if you're not making fun of your own race first. Otherwise, it just feels very aggressive, at least to, kind of like super liberally background types like I am, and to, honestly, a lot of the improv community and improv audiences in particular. So, that was why that worked in that situation and why they were going to end it and not continue it and end it on the high note rather than try to raise the stakes of that, which I feel like would be really rough. But could be done, You could just be a white person who's dealing with white person stuff, any white person history kind of thing. Any of that stuff would be great. Silly dance moves, that kind of thing. But it's hard to raise that much commitment and that much historical tension from there. Just hard to do. So I think that's about enough time. This is the second part and I think the 5th total episode of Improv TV. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.